Escape! Run! Those frantic words echoed as her world burned. Staring at the carnage, her soul screamed to reach for her father's cold body. Instead, fueled by raw terror, she plunges blindly into the freezing night. With everything lost, she vanished. A week later, the city ignited with rumors about the horrific, fatal blaze. Headlines screamed arson, describing a cold, calculated strike. The media feasted on the ashes of her family's life. They pitied the dead parents and the miraculous daughter who fled the flames just as death reached out. But Yoonha's memory held a darker truth. She whispered of shadows in the smoke, lurking like hungry demons. Detectives scoffed at her claims of murder, citing a lack of proof while offering hollow promises of justice. They kept her isolated, supposedly for protection, but their empty reassurances felt more like a golden cage's bars. Trapped in silence, her rage grew. Every day, without answers, felt like a slow poison rotting her spirit. Same lies, same stalled investigation. In a surge of helpless fury, she lashed out, kicking her crutches away. Agony flared in her leg instantly. As she crawled to reach them, a looming presence blocked her path. A stranger appeared, his eyes holding a terrifying familiarity. Yoonha froze, masking her shock behind a cold stare. He didn't leave. Instead, he noted how she lacked her father's warmth, his voice dripping with dark secrets. Her heart stilled. Did he know him? The man smiled thinly, confirming the ghosts of her past were real. He revealed her father's secret life within the Mafia. Her pulse quickened, the underworld was calling her name. Betrayal! His own brothers had turned on him. The truth ignited a black fire of vengeance in her soul. She hungered for the names of the killers, but the stranger warned her to walk away from the darkness. The organization will handle it, he dismissed. But as he turned to leave, Yoonha's desperate cry stopped him. She collapsed to her knees, begging to be part of the bloodbath. "Help me kill them!" she pleaded. The law was useless. The silence was suffocating. Only this man could lead her into the den of vipers. She would trade anything for justice. Moved by her sheer desperation, the man leaned in with a whisper. He gave her the name, No Ha Newell, the king of the underworld and her father's ultimate deadly rival. Join Sarium, he offered, reaching out. Become one of us, or perish. There is no turning back now. One mistake meant death. Yet, No Ha Newell's name burned in her mind, a beacon for her coming revenge. She stared at the hand, making a pact with the devil. Suddenly, news broke Yoonha had vanished without trace. Last seen with a mysterious figure, the girl from the fire was gone, leaving the world in speculation. She crossed the threshold into a realm of blood, boundless wealth, and dark, dangerous connections that night. Vengeance was her only goal. Yoonha learned to play the underworld's lethal games, trading her innocence for power. Years drifted by as she climbed the hierarchy, slowly creeping toward the throat of her family's killers. She sold her soul piece by piece. Now, she lay in the bed of her enemy, a lethal predator. This wasn't love, it was war. He was the key to her vengeance, and she would endure anything. The price mattered little. Her heart was a frozen wasteland, focused solely on the blood of her parents. Yoonha reunited with the powerful tycoon amidst Hong Kong's neon lights. A perfect, glittering stage for her next move. Dressed in pure elegance, she radiated danger. They spoke of business, their words a dance of hidden intentions. His hungry eyes traced her every curve. She absorbed his flattery like a pro, playing her part perfectly. The banter was seamless until the wine ran low. He reached to refill her glass, but she intervened. With a playful wink, she led him out. In the car, things heated up, but Yoonha pulled back sharply. Acting intoxicated, she teased him about his stamina. Suddenly, a jarring thud rocked the car on the highway. The tycoon ignored the crash, focused only on Yoonha. "Don't worry," he whispered. "I'll take care of you." As she leaned in, her phone vibrated, shattering the tension. She lied, claiming it was her worried father. It was her boss. The mission was dead. Abort immediately. "Get to the airport now," the voice commanded. She feigned a family emergency, desperate to escape. But the tycoon's eyes darkened. He wasn't finished with her yet. He lunged, gripping her wrist with bruising force. "You don't just leave," he hissed. Yoonha gave him one warning. He didn't listen. Her purse became a weapon, followed by a sharp heel strike that sent him reeling. She dropped the driver next with a brutal blow. As the car screeched to a halt, Yoonha vanished. Adrenaline surges as Yoonha hits the concrete. No time for pain. She flags a cab to escape. She dumps a stack of cash in the driver's lap. Desperate commuters watch in shock as she vanishes. Leaving them behind, she laughs at their lack of manners. The neon night swallows her whole. 7 hours later, Yoonha returns to South Korea. Business begins. Her cold eyes betray no fatigue at all. She sits before the underworld's elite. Their focus? Shin Kung-hun, a dangerous titan in the corporate world. At just 38, he commands Jumo. His rise was a blood-soaked ladder that left everyone in awe. Yuna exhales a cloud of smoke. Boredom clings to her. These lions are just kittens to her soul. Their endless chatter is a drone. She snaps, silencing the room with her sharp and lethal tongue. Young Pal, the group's hound, growls at her disrespect, but Yuna only offers a chilling, mocking smile. She didn't skip sleep for a bedtime story. These rumors wouldn't even interest a child. She scoffs. Enraged, Young Pal slams the table. He towers over her, teeth bared in a desperate show of force. Without flinching, she launches an ashtray. It shatters against his face. The predator has been put down. As things turn violent, Suho steps in. His dark aura freezes the room. Young Pal retreats in fear. Now, it's just the boss and his favorite weapon. Cold steel kisses her neck. Suho's gaze is predatory. Is she defying his order? Yuna plays a dangerous game. She claims it was just to annoy him. Suho blames her deadly charm. His eyes trail down her dress as he calls her attire far too inviting. The blade slides lower, marking his territory. Yuna remains still, enduring his dark, possessive touch, without a word. She returns to her playful mask. She mocks Young Pal until Suho hurls a knife at the man's throat. Alone now, the atmosphere shifts. Suho leans in, whispering her lethal objective. 6 months to hunt the target, seduce Kung Hun, then end his life. The timeline is tight, but Suho's chilling stare demands absolute obedience. He leads her into the shadows of his room. A cigarette glows in the dark, illuminating his face. Smoke spirals between his lips. Yuna sighs, her voice heavy with the burden of this intricate, dark hunt. Is killing Kung Hun enough for her revenge? She probes for the real truth hidden behind this bloody mission. Suho reveals the endgame. He wants it all. The pharmaceutical empire and Kung Hun's total destruction are his goals. Stock prices will skyrocket soon. Suho wants to seize the throne right when the target feels most invincible. He will crush the man and the company together. A 3-month window before the final execution begins. Yuna sees the trap clearly now. Suho grins, seeing his perfect doll understand the depth of his cruelty. He beams at her, calling her his little princess. The title is a gilded cage for his weapon. A smirk plays on her lips. She demands to know if this is her only path to true revenge. Her boldness surprises even him. Suho kills his cigarette on the velvet. The stage is set for her. Her eyes burn with a dark fire. She finally has her chance at Shen Haiyan. The hunt is personal. The next day, a powerhouse works out. Kung Hun is a masterpiece of sweat and discipline on the court. He checks his watch, satisfied. Suddenly, Yuna appears like a ghost, a vision in the middle of nowhere. She praises his form with a velvet voice. She suggests he has quite a lot of suppressed energy. He isn't easily swayed by beauty. He responds coolly, admitting his life is full of complex, hidden weights. The air grows heavy with tension. Their casual talk turns into a dangerous, flirtatious dance of hidden motives. Kung Hun closes the distance. For once, Yuna is breathless. His raw charisma is a force of nature itself. He doesn't wait for an answer. He grabs his gear to leave, a king who knows his worth. In a desperate move, she calls out. She offers her body, her soul, everything for his attention. He stops, stunned by her audacity. He claims he prefers sophisticated women over mere impulsive children. Yuna doesn't back down. She pushes until he finally smiles. She's hooked the big fish at last. He asks for her name. She lies, calling herself Lihan. The predator and prey have officially met. Their parting is a promise of trouble. They walk away, both playing a game where the loser dies. The next morning, the corporate king returns. Kung Hun moves through his empire with the cold aura of power. His assistant shadows him. The mission is in motion. The underworld and the elite are about to collide. A new secretary arrives to fill a temporary void. Kyung Hun ignores her until a familiar face stops him cold. It is the girl from the tennis court. Inside his office, Kyung Hun's gaze pierces through Yunha like a blade. He demands to know if their chance meeting was a calculated trap. Yunha denies it, but he trusts no one. To him, women are merely players using beauty as a weapon. Yunha begs for the chance to prove her worth. "Look at me," he commands. He inspects her like a predator before scanning her thin resume. Nothing stands out until he reaches the end. A dark shadow from 10 years ago catches his lethal eyes. A tragic accident. He scoffs, noting she is far too qualified for such a lowly position. Yunha masks her trembling heart with stone-cold composure. She endures his relentless, icy interrogation. Suddenly, the air shifts. He insults her elegance, calling her flashy attire a disgrace to the office. Her mind flashes back to their first meeting. He had claimed to desire women who shine brightly. Now, he towers over her. "I want you flashy in my bed," he growls, "not distracting my men." The heat between them is suffocating. Yoonha stammers a promise to hide her beauty behind a duller mask. Night falls over the city. Kyung-hoon leans in close, his voice a low vibration. She has the job. He hands her the keys to his underworld empire. He's intrigued by a woman this fiercely headstrong. A dangerous spark ignites in Yoonha's eyes. Her secret mission is finally within her reach. The business facade crumbles. He drags her back to the memory of their first heated encounter. He remembers her curiosity and her hunger. His voice drops to a dangerous, obsidian whisper. The pretense is over. He wants her in his bed. Smoke curls around him like a serpent. This is no ordinary job. It is a golden cage. Constant surveillance. No freedom without his command. The list of rules grows like a noose. Yoonha feels the icy breath of the underworld on her neck. One wrong move and her revenge will burn to ashes. She has seen women destroyed by this man. But she is not like the others. I am here to work, she declares, standing her ground. Her defiance amuses him. He tosses her a bone. Investigate a traitor named Major Kim Min-sek. This is her chance to earn his trust. She vows to find the traitor's dirt within 48 hours. He laughs at her impossible resolve. But Yoonha's heart is fueled by a fire he cannot see. A sudden knock shatters the tension. Chief Cha bursts in, his face pale as a restless ghost. Something is wrong. Kyung-hoon dismisses her instantly, his eyes hardening into winter ice. As she leaves, the weight of their dangerous dance presses against her chest. She cannot lose focus. She pauses at the door, catching a whispered name. The president of Jumo is arriving. Panic and adrenaline collide. The game just became a lethal battlefield, but she won't back down. Flashback to a sun-drenched garden. A younger Yoonha laughs with her mother in a world of light. Pure happiness. Until the darkness swallows it whole. The memory shatters into a brutal nightmare. She bolts upright, gasping for air. Cold sweat clings to her skin as the ghosts return. She seeks solace in a glass of water, but the visions are becoming far too vivid to ignore. On the balcony, she lights a cigarette. The smoke mingles with the bitter memories of her lost life. 10 years ago, the closet, hiding in silence while her world was torn apart by violence. She was just a rebellious teen then, hating the safety her parents tried to provide. She once wished for an orphan's freedom. Fate granted that wish with a cruel, bloody hand. Now, she lives only for vengeance. Kyung-hoon is the key to the palace she must destroy. He may not have pulled the trigger, but his bloodline is stained with the same sin. Memories of a sun-drenched garden with her mother shatter into the bloody nightmare of that fateful day. 10 years ago, she was a terrified girl screaming in a silent closet, hiding from the monsters outside. Back then, she resented her parents' protection, foolishly wishing for the lonely freedom of an orphan's life. Little did she know that fate would grant that cursed wish, turning her existence into a cold revenge mission. Her target is Shin Kyung-hoon. Though not her father's killer, his ties to Young's mark him for death. To dismantle him, she must first ensnare his trust, not with her body, but with lethal, calculating brilliance. Judgment Day arrives for Yoonha, a chance to prove her dangerous utility to the predator, Shin Kyung-hoon. Tension chokes the air as director Shin and Mayor Kim Min-sok face off to forge a devil's pact. Kyung-hoon drops a heavy ultimatum: surrender all shadow businesses to Gumo Company or face total, public ruin. The mayor scoffs, trembling. Does this mafia dog truly expect him to bankroll a literal underworld empire? But Kyung-hoon plays a terrifying trump card. He knows the mayor's darkest secrets involve his own family. Earlier that day, Yoonha had delivered the killing blow, a dossier containing every skeleton in the mayor's closet. The file exposed the wife's decade-long drug runs to the Netherlands for their youngest son's illegal treatments. Kyung-hoon admits the scandal is delicious, but to truly break a man, they need undeniable, visceral proof. Yoonha smirks, revealing a second file, a clear shot of the eldest son cowering after stealing drugs. Impressed by such cold ruthlessness, Kyung-hoon wonders how a mere secretary unearthed such filth so easily. With a casual shrug, she replies she simply walked into the lion's den to dig it up herself. Back in reality, Director Shin dismantles the mayor's dignity, laying out every incriminating detail like a death sentence. As the mayor's face turns the color of ash, Kyung-hoon mocks his terror with a celebratory drink. Later, Kyung-hoon savors the victory, realizing Yoonha's sharp mind was the blade that finally cut them down. Without her lethal intelligence, even he couldn't have shattered the mayor's ironclad, stubborn defense so quickly. Yet, a dark suspicion lingers. Is keeping this dangerous woman close a stroke of genius or a mistake? That night, the predator plays the gentleman, offering Yoonha a ride into the depths of the neon city. She disappears into her apartment, unaware that his obsessive gaze follows her every shadow from the dark car. But peace is a luxury. Inside, she finds Young Pal lounging on her bed like he owns her. She bristles with fury, demanding to know what right this stray dog has to invade her private sanctuary. She orders him out, but he lingers, questioning why she deactivated the tracking bug planted on her body. Yoonha coldly retrieves the tiny device from her bag and discards it like a piece of worthless trash. She warns that if Kyung-hun discovers her betrayal, they're dead. Young Pal's concerns fall on deaf ears. His presence is a liability. She tells him to vanish before the Mafia's shadows swallow them both whole. Just as she exhales, her phone rings. It's Suho. She braces herself for the weight of her deception. She reports every detail of the 2-hour execution of the mayor, proving her worth as a double agent. When Suho pries for the endgame, she reminds him that only the true monsters know those dark secrets. She is just a secretary, but one who hears every whisper meant for the ears of the underworld elite. Then, she drops a bombshell. Kyung-hun is leaving in 6 weeks, taking only his most loyal hounds. Suho is satisfied, but then drops a crude question. Has she finally surrendered her body to Kyung-hun? She denies it, leaving him baffled. He ends the call with a chilling warning about the man she's hunting. The weight of the world settles on her. She turns to find Young Pal still lingering in her space. Still here? She whispers. Without a second thought, she begins to undress, daring him to keep watching her. His breath hitches as his eyes widen in shock, captivated by her sudden and incredibly dangerous provocation. He asks what game she's playing, but Yuna only offers a dark, enigmatic smirk in response to him. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. Young Pal recoils in terror as she threatens to bite him like a predator. Did he really think she was easy prey? Terrified by her cold intensity, he flees into the night. Finally alone, she washes away the filth of the day, letting the hot water numb her aching nerves. Stepping out, she checks her phone. 2 missed calls from the devil himself, the powerful Shin Kyung-hun. Her heart thunders. As she dials back, his haunting, dark eyes consume her every thought and soul. He answers, and for a split second, her true identity almost slips through her lips before she recovers. It's a terrifying first. Is the hunter actually becoming nervous around the man she's sworn to destroy? His heavy silences leave her breathless, and despite the danger, she feels a twisted sense of being special. She asks if he treats every secretary with such intensity. His answer is a cold, singular no. Usually, he keeps his distance. But this time, the predator decided to make a direct call himself. No more subordinates. Shin offers a rare apology for doubting her prowess, which she accepts with poise. But as Yoonha rests, she is oblivious to the dark eyes watching her from the street below. Alone in his lair, Kyung-hun is consumed by her image as he seeks a cold, dark release. He begins to trace the threads of the past. 7 days ago, he noticed the shadow following him. To a man of the underworld, being hunted is just part of his soul and daily lifestyle. But seeing Lee Hae-in at the courts and then in his office, that was no simple accident. Coincidences do not exist in his world. One look at her file and the brutal truth finally hit. Lee Yoonha, the girl who should be in a grave. Suho had promised she was long dead. The puzzle pieces click. Just then, a call from 𝒂𝒂𝒍 Corporation rings from the devil himself, Sango. Suho has been the puppet master behind Kyung-hun for years. Their alliance was forged in blood. After the elder Lee died, Suho seized control, but his hunger for power was a bottomless abyss. He sent Kyung-hun undercover for 8 years to bleed their rivals dry from the very inside. 8 years of living a lie. 8 years of building a kingdom just to tear it all down. Now, only one personal task remains. Complete this, and he can finally return to his rightful throne. It is strange. Suho never rushed him before. So why is he so desperate for this return? The mission is chilling. Suho had been using spies to watch his own spy, ensuring no witnesses. And now, the next target on the hit list is the woman sleeping in that apartment, Yoonha. Morning arrives with icy tension. Kyung-hun stalks past Yoonha, treating her like a ghost in the hallway. That cold snub pierces her heart. Even a girl on a revenge mission feels the sting of indifference. Inside his office, the hunt continues. Kyung-hun and Cha map out their strategy of blackmail. They verify her passport and wait for their prey to finally choke on the bait they set. Everything is falling into place. With a flick of his hand, he dismisses his assistant to be alone. He remembers the call from last night, a warning about a breach in his own ironclad security. He senses the trap closing. Suho has sent this beautiful weapon, Yoonha, to finish what was started. Kyung-hun knows she is a siren sent to destroy him, a stunning piece in a deadly game. But he also knows she is far too clever to trust the old monster pulling her strings. Behind her seductive mask, he sees her true mission. He knows everything, except why she is hesitating. He summons her, a new command. She will accompany him on his journey across the international borders. She plays the part of the perfect secretary, nodding along while her mind races with hidden daggers. When he tests her, she just smiles. She claims she is simply relieved to see him recovered. She promises to stay in her lane, and with a graceful exit, she vanishes from his sight. As twilight falls, he offers her a ride. Near the car, the air thickens with a sudden proximity. She slips. He catches her. For a heartbeat, time stops, but he breaks the spell and walks. Left in his wake, she feels the chill. The drive home is filled only with rhythmic rain. The storm provides a veil for her thoughts. This trip to Shenzhen is her golden opportunity. She could ruin Suo's drug trade or find the evidence needed to finally sink his dark empire. Stealing samples is a death sentence, but revenge requires a walk through the Valley of Fire. Her internal war shows. Kyung-hoon reaches out, his hand ghosting over her feverish, cold forehead. He mocks her softly, joking that people will think he is a cruel boss who starves staff. She tries to deflect, but he just shrugs. For a fleeting second, the monster seems almost human. That rare smile from him flips a switch. He suddenly invites her to a private dinner. Outside, the heavens open. He holds out a single umbrella, an invitation into his private world. But the intimacy is too much. Yoonha panics, her heart pounding against the ribs of her cage. She chooses the biting rain over the warmth of his side, leaving him staring back. He chuckles at her sheepish grin before pulling her close under the umbrella, leaving Yoonha completely breathless from his sudden, overwhelming proximity. Inside the restaurant, Yoonha tries to fix her damp dress while joking about the rain, but her heart hammers against her ribs in this silence. She instantly regrets her playfulness when Kyung-hoon's gaze darkens, seizing the chance to lecture her on how to act professionally in his world. He warns her to behave, fearing their dangerous closeness might give others the wrong impression of their dark, twisted arrangement. He jokes about looking like a kidnapper, his voice low and threateningly smooth as he eyes his beautiful captive with predatory intent. Yoonha laughs it off, teasing that a man of his stature surely lacks experience in such petty, amateur underworld crimes. Kyung-hoon pours a drink, casually discussing the brutal human trafficking rings and dropping the name of the serum organization into the mix. Stunned by this revelation, Yoonha masks her shock, skillfully pivoting the conversation toward the rigid hierarchy of the criminal underworld. She probes for more details on these shadowy syndicates, testing the waters of his vast, dangerous knowledge of the abyss. Kyung-hoon acknowledges the existence of such monsters, letting the tension simmer as he weighs his response to her pointed curiosity. She waits for him to name their mutual enemy, but he merely mocks the police, calling them incompetent fools compared to gangsters. Relieved, she quips she would choose a mobster over the law any day as their dinner arrives in this desolate mountain hideaway. Looking around the secluded room, Yoonha realizes how easily a person could vanish here, deep within the shadows of the forest. It is the perfect place to hide a body, she muses, feeling like a lamb dining with a very hungry wolf. Kyung-hoon seems strangely relaxed today, asking why she joined Gumo, and she offers her usual lie about pursuing a personal goal. Their talk drifts to their first meeting, where he notes how young and fragile she seemed back then in his dangerous world. He admits he still remembers her age because she repeated it like a mantra, a small spark of innocence amidst the blood. Then, he reveals that by her age, he was already a seasoned killer, speaking of murder with a terrifying, nonchalant grace. Yoonha watches in horror as he discusses the weight of his sins and whether he fears divine retribution for his many atrocities. With a wicked grin, he claims that if karma existed, he would have been dragged to hell a long time ago. He calls himself a shameless villain before blaming the booze for his sudden, uncharacteristic honesty with his newest, most intriguing toy. Intrigued by his vulnerability, Yoonha asks for a taste of the strong liquor, wanting to feel the fire that fuels him. The liquid burns like glass, leaving her coughing while he watches her with an amused, predatory glint in his sharp eyes. She marvels at how he downs the poison like water, wondering what kind of monster could possess such a terrifying, iron resolve. After dinner, she thanks him for the treat, but he suggests a moonlight stroll, pulling her deeper into the silent, dark woods. As they walk, he probes into her past in Korea, questioning how someone as refined as her ended up in Gumo's filth. He notes she is far too overqualified for her role, his suspicion growing as they wander into a completely isolated clearing. Kyung-hoon makes his move, a light touch on her shoulder that sends a jolt of pure electricity and fear through her. He challenges her to speak her true desires, and without hesitation, she declares she wants to feel his lips on hers. Caught off guard by her daring, he pulls her flush against him, his grip on her waist possessive and dangerously tight. As she murmurs his name, he claims her, his fingers tangling in her hair as he prepares to devour his willing prey. But the moment is shattered by a blinding beam of light cutting through the darkness, signaling an unwelcome intruder in their paradise. A silhouette on a sports bike thunders toward them, breaking the romantic tension with the roar of a high-speed engine. Without blinking, Kyung-hun draws his weapon and takes aim, his face transforming into the cold mask of a professional executioner. He fires with lethal precision, sending the rider crashing to the dirt as the motorcycle skids across the unforgiving mountain ground. The cracked helmet reveals Young-pal's face, leaving Yoonha frozen in shock as the reality of her world crashes back down. Kyung-hun doesn't stop, firing another round into Young-pal's arm as the man desperately tries to crawl away from certain death. He barks orders for Chief Cha to remove Yoonha, his eyes burning with the intent to finish this bloody business alone. Terrified, Yoonha clings to him, begging him not to leave her alone in the dark with the scent of gunpowder and blood. Her desperate pleas melt his icy heart, and he scoops her up, carrying her away from the chaos like a dark night. Back at the safety of her home, he demands to know why she stopped him from delivering the final, fatal blow. She confesses she couldn't witness an execution, her instincts screaming to stop him from descending further into the abyss of murder. Yet, she admits she felt strangely safe in his arms, a confession that seems to touch something deep within his scarred soul. To prove his devotion, he gently inspects her leg for injuries, his touch surprisingly tender for a man with blood-stained hands. Yoonha is overwhelmed by the intimacy as he cleans her wounds with his handkerchief, cementing their dark, obsessive bond forever. His sudden kindness is a dangerous trap, but Yoonha refuses to waver from her dark path. At her doorstep, she offers a polite smile, hiding the dagger of betrayal beneath her graceful mask. Retreating into the shadows of her home, she finally breathes, believing she's secured her sanctuary for tonight. As her dress falls to the floor, her mind drifts to the predator on the bike who hunted her earlier. That motorbike pursuit was unsettling. She needs to report this threat to her underworld contacts, Suo and Young-pal. This secret call must remain in the shadows. Silence is her only ally. Clad only in silk, she cautiously checks the hallway, but as the door creaks open, the atmosphere shifts violently. A pair of polished shoes greets her gaze. Before she can scream, a towering shadow engulfs the room. Emerging from the darkness like a ghost, her target stands in her living room, radiating a terrifying, dominant aura. It is Kyung-hun. Her heart stops. How did this Mafia prince bypass her security and enter her lair? Panic swells within her, but before she can demand answers, he closes the distance, sealing her lips with his. Her pulse thunders against her ribs. The logic of revenge fades as she finds herself melting into his obsessive embrace. He sweeps her up, claiming her like a prize. Their dangerous game has reached a lethal, feverish boiling point. Amidst the passion, Yoonha shudders. This intimacy is a tool, yet why does her soul ache with such yearning? Later, he pulls her sore body close. In his arms, the line between her mission and reality begins to blur. Nervousness takes hold, and she rambles incessantly, a fragile habit she can't hide whenever his intense gaze falls on her. Kyung-hun enjoys her agitation, their playful banter masking the predatory tension that always hums between a hunter and prey. "Sleep," he commands softly. As she drifts off, Yoonha fears her heart is drifting toward the very man she must destroy. Days pass, but the echoes of that night haunt her. The mission is veering into a dark, romantic abyss. It wasn't just the heat of their encounter. The memory of Young-pal's interference still leaves a bitter taste. Seething with fury, she calls the underworld enforcer. How dare he disrupt her delicate seduction of the Mafia heir? But Young-pal remains cold. To him, the motorbike ambush wasn't a mistake. It was a calculated piece of theater. He claims he was merely injecting drama into the night, ensuring their romance ended with a high-stakes adrenaline rush. It was all Suo's doing. Yoonha is staggered by the old man's audacity. Why launch a surprise attack on her? She wonders what dark game the mastermind is playing. In this world, even allies are just pieces on a chessboard. Young-pal reveals the truth. Suo wanted to test Kyung-hun's reflexes. He wanted to see the beast's true face. Kyung-hun took a bullet for his trouble. A minor wound, perhaps, but a reminder of the blood-soaked life he leads. Yoonha ends the call, announcing she'll accompany him to the Gumo Foundation's gala. The web of deceit tightens its grip. She's blind to the details, only learning of the prestigious invitation earlier this morning. Rejecting backup, she feels certain of her influence. She has successfully infiltrated Kyung-hun's guarded heart, or so she believes. She discards her phone's chip, erasing her trail. To survive the underworld, one must leave no ghosts behind. Heading to the office, she remains vigilant. Let's revisit the moments right after their illicit night of passion. While he slept, Yoonha was awake, her eyes fixed on his phone, a treasure trove of Mafia secrets and leverage. She reached for his data, but the predator stirred. Thinking fast, she claimed she needed a shower at 3 in the morning. He scoops her up, his dark gaze burning with an insatiable hunger. In the bathroom, the mission was forgotten as their bodies collided once more. Now, back in the present reality, Yoonha is haunted by his image. Walking to her desk, she can't help but steal a glance into his sanctuary. There he is, an apex predator in a tailored suit. His powerful physique commands the room with effortless, lethal elegance. With the grand anniversary party looming, the stage is set for a night of high-stakes deception and dangerous beauty. Inside a luxury boutique, Kang-hoon coldly browses fashion magazines, while Yoonha prepares for her most treacherous performance yet. Yoonha questions their destination. His answer is cold and direct. They are shopping. She thinks his suit is for a gala. Kyung-hun quickly corrects her mistake. The shopping isn't for him, it's for her. Electricity surges through her veins. It had been years since she felt the thrill of buying without limits. Kyung-hoon grants her total freedom. Yoonha begins searching through the luxury racks. She drifts through silk and lace, her mind still racing from that reckless phone heist. One slip means certain death. She vows to be perfect as she picks her armor. Stepping out, she sees the predator's eyes ignite with a dark, terrifying desire for her. With a lethal twirl, she sheds the robe, revealing a second silhouette that captivates him. Kyung-hoon's applause echoes as heat flushes her cheeks under his heavy, burning gaze. She hunts for the perfect heels. Every detail must be a weapon in this underworld. Perfection is her only shield. The stakes of this dangerous game are far too high. 10 long years of waiting culminate here. The Gumo Foundation party is her battlefield. Her target, No Han-el, the man at the peak of Yukong she must finally face. At the counter, Kyung-hoon claims her further, adding more treasures to their haul. A shimmering bag hides a diamond necklace that sparkles like a cold, fallen star. The fortune spent on her in mere hours leaves her breathless and reeling with fear. Is this a reward for their night together, or the price of her absolute submission? He guides her to the glass, his presence suffocating and overwhelmingly close behind her. His fingers graze her skin, fastening the jewels like a tether of gold and obsession. "It belongs to you," he whispers, marking her as his prize in this den of thieves. She frets over her reflection, worried her mask isn't lethal enough for the coming war. Yet his intense stare says otherwise. He is utterly possessed by the vision before him. She demands the respect he promised, a fragile shield against his growing, dark hunger. He just laughs darkly as Chief Cha prepares the car for their separate, secret exits. Shadows always follow the powerful. They exchange sharp, playful wit before parting ways tonight. His sudden confession hits like a strike. He wants her lips, her heart, her everything. She gives the signal, and he sweeps her into a storm of forbidden, hungry passion. "You are mine alone," he growls, his possessiveness carving a mark upon her very soul. Her mission demands blood, but her traitorous heart is beginning to beat for her enemy. The air cools as they reset. She moves to change, but his hand stops her. He insists she wear the memory of their encounter like a second shimmering skin. Stepping out, she masks her nerves with a joke, comparing him to an ancient general. Their laughter mingles, but his gaze holds a new, dangerous kind of recognition for her. He's falling for the real Yoonha, the girl he lost 10 years ago in the shadows. The gala is a sea of sharks. She waits, nursing wine like a lethal poison. Searching for No Han-el, she feels Kyung-hun's protective aura looming in the distance. Wrapped in his heavy jacket, she feels his heat even as he saunters toward her. A brief check-in before a VIP pulls the king away into a den of business. Seizing the moment, she slips away to hunt for secrets hidden within the darkened rooms. She overhears the elite whispering of power shifts and the brutal rise of the Shins. Jealousy drips from their words as they recount No Han-el's cold-blooded executive purges recently. Then, the killing blow? The ghost she's hunting isn't even attending the party tonight. A mere brother stands in his place. Her elaborate trap has snapped shut on nothing. Everything shifts. If No Han-el is absent, her entire revenge plot has just crumbled. She rushes back to Kyung-hun, her mind spinning to salvage the wreckage of her plan. Beneath the chandelier's glow, she admits the party isn't the victory she had envisioned. She wanted to prove her worth, to climb the ladder of blood through her skills. He tells her to relax. She subtly probes for the truth of the missing president. The trauma of a past attack keeps No Han-el hiding forever in the cold shadows. Blood and betrayal paved Shin Kyung-hoon's path to the underworld throne. Yoonho realizes trust here is a debt paid only in life-threatening blood. A chilling whisper from Director Cha shatters the mood. Something is wrong. Kyung-hoon departs like a predator sensing prey, his face a mask of stone. "Stay," he commands. But Yoonho sees it the Shenzhen drug development trail. A lethal goldmine of secrets awaits. She must breach his inner sanctum. The Mafia king summons his secretary. "Fix my tie," he demands coldly. Tonight is a high-stakes war council. He must look perfectly dangerous. His shadow engulfs her. Yoonho's heart hammers against her ribs in panic. Proximity breeds terror. She fumbles with the silk, trapped in his gaze. A soft kiss brushes her cheek. a master taming his beautiful, trembling bird. Her mind screams mission first. She must dismantle Shenzhen before dawn breaks. Shadows become her skin. The clock is a ticking executioner for her soul. Like a ghost, she stalks a waiter. Stealth is her only salvation now. Kyung-hoon ascends his dark tower, flanked by his most loyal, deadly hounds. Deep in the fortress, cold calculations begin. The air smells of impending war. He dismisses the tension. Yun-ho watches from the dark, hunting for openings. Heavy security chokes the hall. This isn't a party. It is an execution. Something tectonic is shifting. She feels the weight of a coming storm. The waiter returns. The monsters inside have been fed and are satisfied. Shoes off, barefoot on ice, she slips into the abyss of the unknown. Finding No Haenel is everything. Information is her only currency for revenge. A door marked security. Her pulse thunders like a war drum in her ears. Voices bleed through the wood. Kyung-hoon's tone is a blade of pure authority. Then, a ghost speaks. No Haenel. Her blood turns into jagged, freezing ice. A horrific truth unfolds. A drug empire stretching from Shenzhen's dark heart. Methamphetamine routes through Hong Kong. A poison map for the criminal world. They need corporate masks to hide the rot. A massive, global conspiracy. Silence falls like a guillotine. The air in the hallway turns instantly lethal. Where's the girl? Haenel's voice is a viper's hiss on the camera. Terror strikes her soul. She is the prey. The cameras have already bitten. She bolts! A desperate sprint through the labyrinth of the Mafia's lair. The door bursts open. A hand hauls her into the heart of darkness. Trapped with two predators, she spins a fragile, desperate lie about the roof. Kyung-hoon watches with dark amusement. He enjoys seeing his little pet struggle. Release her, he purrs. The guard obeys the alpha without a single word. He probes for the truth. Yun-ho's mind frantically weaves a new, deadly deception. A panicked rodent, Haenel sneers. It's the man she has sworn to kill. Her original plan was simple. Infiltrate, gather the rot, burn them all down. She didn't seek justice. She sought the total destruction of her enemies. But seeing his face, her cold restraint snaps like a rusted chain. Why wait for shadows? Her target is breathing right in front of her. She lunges with feral fury. A guard falls to her lightning-fast strike. She steals the gun! It's aimed straight at No Haenel's mocking, arrogant face. Stop! Kyung-hoon's voice cuts the air. A master finally commanding his storm. A guard draws his weapon, aiming straight at her heart. 2 against 1? To Yun-ha, those are perfect odds. Life or death? She no longer cares. With tear-filled eyes, she steals one final glance at Kyung-hoon. She centers her aim on No Haenel and pulls the trigger. Suddenly, the office transforms into a bloody shooting gallery. Kyung-hoon's voice echoes as Yun-ha collapses. In a heartbeat, her mind spirals back to that cursed, rainy night. The night her world shattered was drenched in blood and rain. She was just a girl chatting with her bestie. They gossiped about summer camp and her secret crush. Amy laughed as Yun-ha begged for her parents' permission. I'll be there, no matter what, Yun-ha promised. Hanging up, she stepped directly into a waking nightmare. The front door stood eerily ajar. A chill ran down her spine, but she pushed the fear aside. She headed for the laundry room to find her mother. Instead, she found a house swarming with killers. Killers were everywhere. Panicked, she dove into a closet, muffling her screams with trembling, cold hands. In the suffocating dark, her heart drummed against her ribs. She listened as they hunted for any survivors. A pack of monsters, led by one cold, commanding voice. They tore through every room, searching relentlessly. When silence finally fell, she crawled out. The first thing she saw was her father's cold, lifeless body. There was no time to mourn. She raced upstairs, her soul screaming as she heard distant, cruel voices. Her world ended when she saw her mother in a pool of blood. She choked back a shattered sob. She hid again as the killers returned. A man in a sharp black suit walked in with arrogant steps. He was the ringleader, the devil himself. Satisfied with the carnage, he turned to leave until it happened. Yunha's phone buzzed. She tried to silence it, but the predator had already heard his trembling prey. Through the door's crack, she watched him approach. Then, her mother used her final breath to stop him. He laughed, ending her life with a cold blade. I'll reunite you two soon, the monster sneered. That monster was Sang-ho, the new king of the underworld. Driven by pure adrenaline, Yunha finally bolted. She sprinted into the rain, her lungs burning. She needed help. She needed to survive this living hell. As she rounded the corner, she crashed into a solid figure. Relief and total exhaustion finally took hold. She collapsed into a sobbing mess and blacked out. Kyung-hoon looked down, his eyes filled with strange pity. He swept her away from the carnage. Behind them, Her childhood home became a blazing funeral pyre. That hellish inferno was Sang-ho's debut, a sight that would be burned into Kyung-hoon's memory forever. 10 years later, Yoon-ha appears at his firm. She's applying for a job, hiding behind a secretary's mask. Kyung-hoon lights a cigarette, his nerves on edge. He consults Chief Cha about the mysterious new girl. Cha drops a bomb. Yoon-ha's last decade is a total blank. It's like she simply didn't exist. Kyung-hoon suspects Sang-ho is playing a twisted game of hide-and-seek. Cha isn't so sure yet. A girl vanishes for 10 years? Kyung-hoon growls. Someone was protecting her. Someone very powerful. They suspect Sang-ho is her secret guardian. Reluctantly, they plan to bug her room to find the truth. The puzzle pieces are finally shifting. Now, Kyung-hoon sits alone, replaying that office shooting in his mind. Why did she target No Hanel instead of him? Was this all part of her dark, hidden agenda? Doubt begins to fester like a wound. He picks up the phone and dials Sang-ho directly. After a tense exchange, Kyung-hoon spills the truth. He tells him about the bloody standoff with Hanel. Sang-ho acts shocked, weaving a web of lies. He suggests Yoon-ha might have betrayed them both. Or perhaps there's a civil war within the gang? Kyung-hoon shuts down the old man's theories instantly. Sang-ho tries to distance himself, then asks the crucial question. Is she still alive? Hand her over. There's a lethal silence. Then, Kyung-hoon drops the hammer. He knows Yoon-ha was sent as a spy. He knows she was sent to leak the secret deal. Ruffled, Sang-ho finally admits his game is up. He claims he was going to come clean soon. He even insists the hit on Hanel wasn't planned. Kyung-hoon isn't buying his excuses. Yoon-ha is my problem now, he declares with a dark, obsessive edge. I'll do as I please with her. He hangs up, the dangerous deal effectively sealed in blood. But one question remains. What drove her to fire? If not Sang-ho, who is pulling her strings? Chief Cha bursts in, shattering the silence. Something massive just happened, and he needs to see it now. In the sterile hospital room, Yoon-ha remains silent. A sharp-eyed redhead briefs Kyung-hoon on her cold defiance. She refuses to speak, ignoring her bleeding shoulder. Kyung-hoon leans in, whispering her real name like a curse. He reveals his hand. He knows exactly who she is. No more masks, no more lies between them. He's heard her secret talks with Sang-ho. He mocks her, revealing the other pawns sent on this suicide mission. Reality hits Yoon-ha hard. While she was playing her games, Kyung-hoon was the one holding the leash. Trembling, she tries to escape his shadow, but the redhead forces her back down. There's no running away. Yoon-ha snaps, demanding to know who this woman is. The answer is a bullet to the heart. The police. Not just any cop, but a special task force elite. Yoon-ha's world spins as Kyung-hoon takes control. He drops the bombshell. He's an undercover tiger, living among wolves to tear the underworld apart from within. The officer cuts in, laying out the dark, gritty truth that Yoon-ha was never meant to discover. Saram and Young-sung, the twin titans of the underworld. They've ruled the shadows for decades, untouchable and lethal. They always escape the law's reach, protected by the dirty hands of powerful politicians and blood money. That's why Kyung-hoon went dark. 12 years ago, he traded his soul to dismantle the empire from inside. The explanation ends. Kyung-hoon's eyes turn cold as he interrogates Yoon-ha about the upcoming drug deal in Shenzhen. He knows she's involved. He's been orchestrating this dance since the very beginning of their meeting. He baited her at the party, all while planting a hidden tracker in her expensive necklace. He owns her. Every step she took was watched. Yoon-ha sighs, trapped. She admits she knows everything about the illicit trade. Kyung-hoon leans in closer, his voice a low growl. Why did she try to kill No HL? The female officer freezes, shocked by the revelation. Kyung-hoon coldly demands they be left alone for this talk. When she hesitates, his politeness vanishes. He barks an order, sending Lieutenant Han scurrying out of the room. Han leaves with her head low, her face burning from the suffocating tension radiating from the two inside. Outside, she meets Chief Cha's confused stare. She just shrugs, admitting she was kicked out like a nuisance. They sit in the hallway, whispering about Kyung-hoon's dangerous obsession with the girl who should be his enemy. His judgment is blurring. Han wonders what the brass would do if they knew about this twisted entanglement. Suddenly, Cha pulls out his phone. He has a recording that might change everything about this mission. She hits play. The recording takes us back to a secret, heated confrontation between Sang-ho and Kyung-hoon. After the call, Cha corners him. He demands to know if Kyung-hoon is still playing for their side. Betraying Sarum means certain death. As a mentor, Cha warns him to hand Yoon-ha over before it's too late. Hand her back? Never. Kyung-hoon's grip tightens, his knuckles turning white with a possessive, dark fury. He recalls the nightmare from 10 years ago. He knows what happened to Yoon-ha under Sang-ho's cruel watch. He won't let history repeat itself. He brings up the assassination attempt on 𝒂𝒊 at the gala. Her eyes that night held the same soul-crushing terror he saw in her a decade ago. She was ready to die for revenge. She's no longer a victim. She's a weapon forged in hell. Kyung-hoon refuses to fail again. He'll bury Sarum his way even if he has to burn everything down. He doesn't care about the collateral damage or the rules anymore. His goal is the only thing that matters. His superiors be damned. Han hands the phone back, the weight of his obsession hanging heavy in the air. Back in the hospital, a heavy silence falls between them. Kyung-hoon is the first to shatter the tension. He notes the hollow, haunted look in her eyes. Yoonha sighs, finally asking, "Have they met before?" He avoids her gaze, playing a dangerous game of words. But Yoonha isn't backing down. She demands the truth. She asks if he joined Yongsung 8 years ago. Kyung-hoon finally stops the lies and confirms it all. He admits he was sent to Sarum 12 years ago. He's been a ghost in their world for eternity. Sang-ho himself sent him to Yongsung. The silence that follows is thick with betrayal and old blood. Yoonha looks away, her voice trembling. She asks the one question that's been killing her. Why didn't he save her? She begins to shake, the trauma of that night flooding back like a tidal wave of pure agony. Yoonha's frame thrashes violently against the sheets as if possessed by a demon, forcing Kyung-hoon to pin her down. He struggles to stabilize her as she lashes out like a feral beast, screaming her desperate love for him. Chief Cha and Officer Han rush in to assist, but Shin barks orders for a sedative to end her agony. Leaning close, he whispers a blood-soaked promise. He will let her deal with Go-ha, Newell herself. Han is stunned and attempts to protest, but Shin silences her, ordering the officer to mind her own business. As Yoonha's mind clears, Shin reveals the crushing truth. The scumbag Seo has been manipulating her for 10 years. She collapses against his chest, her eyes fluttering shut as he murmurs lethal reassurances into her ear. With Yoonha finally sedated, the trio of officers gather in the hallway to weave their web of deception. Shin's play is bold. Spread the rumor that Yoon had died by his hands to bait both rival syndicates. The chief warns that this spark could ignite a total gang war, but Shin merely shrugs at the bloodshed. When Han questions involving the double agent Kim Min-sok, Shin reveals he is already 10 steps ahead. His true mission? A scorched earth plan to annihilate both the Han Newell faction and Kim Min-seok simultaneously. They debate whether to alert their superiors, but Han suggests they keep the brass completely in the dark. A dark smirk plays on Shin's lips as he finds himself alone with his own haunting thoughts. To his surprise, his mind remains anchored to Yoonha, feeling an intensity he has never known before. He watches her fragile, peaceful sleep, a stark contrast to the violent storm that just passed through her soul. Over the following days, the hospital becomes a gilded cage that Yoonha desperately tries to pick. She almost reaches the exit before Shin intercepts, hoisting her over his shoulder like captured prey. He tucks her in with terrifying tenderness, warning her not to shatter her body by trying to flee. 10 days since the bullet bit her, yet he guards her as if she were made of glass. Despite the doctor's clearance, his iron grip doesn't loosen. He refuses to gamble with her recovery. Her relentless escape attempts earn her a permanent set of steel cuffs against the bed frame 24/7. She wonders why every path in her life leads back to this dangerous, suffocating man. As the jailer prepares to leave, her voice cuts through the dim corridor, pulling him back in. Shin is caught off guard, but obliges, returning to her bedside to ask after her well-being. Detecting the sharp scent of whiskey on his breath, she asks for a glass, but he denies her. She pleads for freedom from the shackles, but her promises of good behavior fall on deaf ears. Their conversation drifts from wounds to his life as a cop, the air thick with unspoken tension. She traces his powerful frame with her eyes, curious about the man beneath the gangster mask. Fearing the law, she asks if the shooting will ruin her, but Shin promises it remains a secret. Feeling a surge of confidence, Yoonha begs for her release once more, her eyes wide and pleading. He asks if she'll kill Sang-ho if released. She denies it while secretly plotting a far worse fate. Sensing the murderous rage beneath her surface, Shin keeps the cuffs on, apologizing for her past trauma. Her patience snaps like a thin wire, as her pleas for freedom are ignored yet again. She begins a frantic fuss, begging Shin to help her finally take down the monster Sang-ho. Shin urges caution to protect their work, but his logic only fuels her pent-up volcanic rage. She lashes out, calling him incompetent, yet Shin remains calm, sympathizing with her soul-crushing plight. She screams that they are not the same. He chose this hell, while she was forced in. Kyung-hoon pins her down during the tantrum, promising to deliver the revenge she so desperately seeks. When Yoonha finally stills, the mask of the victim slips to reveal a sharp, calculating interrogator. She demands the truth about their shared past, questioning if he helped cause her parents' demise. Shin swears he never knew Sang-ho would strike her father, only that he suspected something unusual. He unveils the villain's true plan, to end the boss and seize control of the entire syndicate. Sang-ho intended to wipe out everyone and cast the shadow of guilt upon the rival Yongs. Testing his morality, or perhaps seeking a savior, Yoonha asks what he would truly do for her. She asks if he would have killed her parents on Suo's command. He would have warned her father. His oath as a cop came first. To prove his word, he confesses to slaughtering 15 gang members for her. He killed her shooter to save her. His raw intensity leaves her breathless. Her heart shifts instantly. Yoonha makes a move, offering herself as thanks. She pays her debt with passion. They surrender to their darkest, surging emotions. Hyung-hoon makes a vow. No other man shall ever touch her again. She belongs only to him. Later, he claims most of the bed space. Feeling cheated, Yoonha tries to leave. Hyung-hoon has other, darker plans. He pulls her onto his chest. He demands that she stay right there. He clicks the handcuffs shut. They are now bound together in the darkness. Yoonha realizes how deep she has fallen into this dangerous, obsessive game. They admit their mutual addiction. He promises to wait until she has healed. In a quiet moment, she asks him to finally remove the steel cuffs. He refuses. He knows she still has the heart of a runaway bird. She is now a target. Freeing her would mean certain death for them. Terror grips her heart. She asks if the monster Suo knows she lives. The answer is yes. He vows never to let her return to Serum. She wants her revenge. He promises to bring Suo's head to her feet. Shin confesses his soul. Every sin he committed was done out of love. Yoonha flushes deep red, but his dark obsession is far from over yet. He never wanted a woman until her. He cradles her face with intensity. He demands to know if she feels it. Yoonha stands frozen in shock. She calls him president. She denies having any romantic feelings for her captor. The air turns freezing. He begs for one final night of intense intimacy. She resists until she breaks. Morning finds her rolling away from his side. He is gone. Chief Cha sits nearby, eyes glued to his digital tablet. Shaking off the night's dreams, she playfully offers Cha a shared shower. He is stunned and weary. He refuses to take her teasing bait. Even as she flirts, the handcuffs remain locked tight on her wrists. Defeated, she enters the shower. Suddenly, a dark shadow looms behind her. It is Shin. He whispers for her to continue, then steals a kiss. In the steam, she sees the massive tattoo etched across his powerful back. He reveals it was his brand upon graduating from the police academy. It was the only way to infiltrate the city's most dangerous syndicate. One question remains. Yoonha asks the truth about her father's tragic death. He speaks honestly. He never crossed paths with her father in the past. Later, as he combs her hair, Yoonha reveals the secrets of her past. She was naive to her father's ties within the brutal Serum gang. Shin describes the man differently. He was a leader who truly cared. Her father once dreamed of a quiet life far from Seoul, a memory Yoonha now clings to. Back then, she was a rebellious girl, unable to grasp the peaceful vision he desperately craved. The mood shifts as Shin reveals his scars. For a moment, they are just lovers sharing secrets. He speaks of a family of lawmen, a lineage of brothers and a father in the police force. Since his mother's death at age 7, his underworld life has severed all his family ties. A dark fear haunts him, that the heartless gangster persona he wears has become his true face. He fears his soul is fading. Later, Kang-hun probes into Yoonha's deepest feelings of disappointment. She confesses that the cinema is her sanctuary, a place where the silver screen hides her pain. In those flickering lights, she escapes her grim reality and finds a fleeting spark of happiness. Kang-hun offers a movie date, but she refuses, certain he will eventually tire of her darkness. Yet, Kang-hun exposes his heart, showing her the depth of his obsession and his desperate devotion. With a heated kiss, he vows to slaughter those who killed her parents if she waits for him. Back in the field, Shin Kang-hun is a lethal shadow in a sharp black suit. As the elevator opens, two massive goons step in, their murderous intent practically radiating off them. The master strategist strikes first, turning their own cold steel against them with terrifying precision. In one blurred motion, a thug falls, a blade buried deep within his chest. It is clear Sang-ho Hayim is hunting Yoonha, and Shin can taste the coming bloodbath in the air. Meanwhile, Yoonha remains a golden bird in a hospital cage, with Lieutenant Han as her watchful guard. Flashing a dangerous grin, Yoonha baits Han into a conversation the officer cannot resist. Han finally relents, unaware she is being played, as Yoonha immediately demands her freedom. Han keeps her cards close, citing protocol. But Yoonha is a predator who never lets go. She demands to know when Shin will return, forcing Han to reveal the upcoming Shenzhen sting operation. Yoonha's mind is already spinning a deadlier web. plotting to frame Sang-ho for the drug trade. She begs Han to let her rejoin the underworld mission, desperate to finish her bloody revenge. Han stares in horror, convinced Yoonha has finally lost her mind to the darkness. Returning to the enemy is suicide. But Yoonha whispers of the twisted obsession Suo holds for her. While Han is distracted by the tale, Yoonha's fingers ghost over the officer's heavy service weapon. Shin bursts in just as Han flees, only to find himself staring down the barrel of a gun. Yoonha aims the stolen firearm at him, her eyes cold as she warns him to stay back. She presses the muzzle to her own throat, mocking Shin's panic with a twisted, beautiful smile. She demands he disarm before they speak, laying out her lethal plan to seduce Suo once more. The mission stays the same, but she will be the bait that lures Suo to his grave. She even promises to protect Shin's life until the police arrive to clean up the mess. Amused by her madness, Shin asks for her ultimate goal. The answer is simple: total vengeance. Death is too kind. She wants to watch the light leave Suo's eyes as his empire crumbles. She will be the architect of his ruin, and no force on earth will stop her. With a soft touch and a few words, Shin surrenders to her will, granting her every wish. After a night of desperate passion, Shin prepares to plant a tracking device on her body. She accepts his leash, and soon we see her trembling at the feet of the beast, Suo. She begs for mercy, a fallen queen returning to her tyrant, as Suo looks down in disgust. Only his twisted desire stops him from turning her into a corpse on the spot. She tells him the truth, a calculated gamble they discuss to earn back his warped trust. She knows this monster better than anyone, betting her life on his predictable, pig-like cruelty. Suo draws a knife, asking if she came to deliver his head to Kung Hun on a platter. She denies it all, weeping a masterclass of lies about how she waited for him to save her. Hut kneels before him, begging to rejoin the clan with a lethal offering. She reveals the Shenzhen smuggling routes and Yang's treacherous underworld partners. Suo's cold gaze softens as his hatred melts into a twisted obsession. He sweeps her up, whispering dark promises of forgiveness and hollow praise. A grand banquet is declared, while Kyung-hoon rots with suffocating worry. Desperate for Yoonha's return, he forces the transaction to move faster. Cha warns of the peril, but Shin's resolve remains absolute and terrifying. He demands Yoonha by his side, his patience finally reaching its limit. Without her, Kyung-hoon is a hollow shell, a walking dead man. Even new reports on Shenzhen cannot stir the ghost he has become. He dismisses Cha with cold indifference, consumed entirely by his dark obsession. At her welcome feast, Yoonha drowns her burning disgust in heavy liquor. Within hours, Suo's mask slips, revealing a pathetic and drunken predator. He grills her for Shin's secrets, but she feeds him calculated lies. She dances on a knife's edge, protecting her lethal cover from his gaze. Suo demands why she didn't kill Shin when she had the chance. She claims she needed the intel, and the fool swallows her deception. Driven by greed, Suo decides to strike Shenzhen himself without delay. Smirking, Yoonha joins him, claiming she needs more dirt on their enemies. Suo, completely smitten, praises her while she plots his ultimate downfall. She drops a final request, ensuring Suo remains under her thumb. Enter a new player, a blonde heartthrob with a dangerous, mocking smile. As he enters Kyung-hoon's office, the heavy air turns freezing cold. Shin senses trouble as the newcomer gushes over the luxurious room. He demands a smoke, but Shin shuts him down with iron authority. The man gossips about the fallen spy, testing Shin's shattering patience. Confirming her death, we meet Songjun, a key player in Yongsang. Songjun questions the timeline, but Shin will not be moved. The deal must happen now. Shin refuses to risk losing her again. Despite warnings of ruined credibility, Shin stands his ground like stone. Songjun keeps pushing, desperate to stick to the original plan. Shin's rage simmers. Why waste breath on such a pathetic coward? As the tension peaks, Chief Cha enters with a whispered secret. Songjun snaps, attacking Cha, but Shin moves like a lethal shadow. He slams Songjun down, dragging him toward the glass ledge. A cold threat rings out. Fail again, and you will find death. He releases the trembling man, promising no mercy for the next time. Alone, Shin realizes Yoonha's GPS has gone completely dark and silent. He calls frantically until she finally answers, explaining the dead chip. She promises she isn't running, merely preparing for her final move. She gives him an address in China, a bar named 𝑴𝒂𝒅𝒆. Shin's mind races. The game has changed in a single heartbeat. He orders Cha to book a flight to China immediately. Lieutenant Han will watch the home front while Shin goes hunting. Every superior must be monitored as the underworld war truly begins. Shadows conceal the coming carnage. 18 hours after her desperate gamble, Yoonha scans the Viper's nest, searching for Shin. Elegant in a traditional qipao, she's a silk-clad target in this den of sin. But her frantic calls find no answer. Masked faces and the suffocating rod of vice surround her. Choking on the thick haze, she struggles to find an exit. A familiar figure emerges through the smoke. Is that Shin? She rushes toward her hope, only to strike a solid wall. Trembling, she mumbles a plea to pass, but a predator blocks her path. A sinister grin spreads as he traps Yunha. Desperately trying to evade him, she is suddenly pinned against the cold wall. Snapping, she strikes back with lethal precision. Her sharp hairpin becomes a weapon, drawing blood as she flees. Now, she is huddled in the shadows, heart hammering wildly. Yunha's mind spirals in terror. That man was the kingpin of 𝒂𝒂𝒆. Now that the truth is out, she is paralyzed. If her identity is exposed in this den of monsters, she is dead. Her cover is hanging by a single thread. As she plots her escape, Shin-ung enters the room. To her horror, he is walking with the predator she just escaped. Shin and the egoist boss, 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆, share a dark bond. They are wolves of the same pack, forged in the underworld. While they converse, Shin's mind is a battlefield of schemes. He is mentally marking every exit for his eventual bloody cleanup. For now, he wears the mask of a loyal comrade. He plays the role of a ruthless gangster with chilling perfection. 𝒂𝒑 hands over a suitcase heavy with illicit narcotics. Shin accepts the poison graciously, maintaining his deadly charade for the cameras. Claiming he needs air, Shin steps out to hunt for Yunha. Meanwhile, she crawls from her hole, desperate for an exit. Her pulse thunders against her ribs as she stalks the shadows. Every creak in the floorboards sounds like a death sentence. The silence of the hall feels like a predator's trap. She does not notice the dark figure looming directly behind her shadow. Suddenly, massive hands snatch her, dragging her into the darkness. She fights like a caged animal against his iron-like grip. Trapped in his hold, she looks up to find Shin's piercing gaze. Her breath vanishes. Her protector has finally arrived. Trembling, she confesses the sheer weight of her terror. The words spill out as her composure finally breaks before him. He silences her with a sudden, possessive kiss. He collapses against her, his face etched with a dark, agonizing regret. She whispers that this path of vengeance was her choice. Shin is consumed by a violent concern for her fragile safety. He fought through a sea of killers just to reach her side. He confesses his obsessive need to keep her alive. He would burn the world for her happiness, but their peace is shattered. Outside, the scent of fresh blood lingers. Young Pal desperately rings her phone, but there is no answer. He leaves a frantic warning. Suho is coming to 𝒂𝒂𝒆. Elsewhere, Jinha enjoys a deceptive moment of peace with Kyung-hun. They share a meal, hiding the daggers in their hearts. She playfully coaxed him to eat, worried by his sudden weight loss. The stress of their lifestyle is clearly taking its toll. He takes a bite of her burger just to please her. Yet, his gaze remains fixed on her, dark and lingering. As they talk, Kyung-hun weaves his usual tale of profound devotion. She listens, but a cold chill crawls up her spine. Something feels dangerously wrong. With a teasing smile, she asks if he is spiraling into the world of hard drugs. To her horror, he admits it. Narcotics are his only fuel to survive the grueling 39 hours of this mission. The mood shifts from dinner to a cold-blooded strategy. He demands to know Sang-ho's location and Yunha's current status. He urges her to reveal the full plan so he can intervene. She relents, detailing the heist during the upcoming trade. She intends to vanish into a safe house once the goods are hers. It is a gamble with her very life. Kyung-hun finishes her sentence with chilling clarity. He maps out the final move of their high-stakes game of death. She will steal the drugs, he will bring the police, and Suho will fall. Yunha will pull the final trigger. It sounds like a perfect execution, doesn't it? But in the underworld, plans are written in disappearing blood. After dinner, they search for a taxi to their secret lodging. The night air feels heavy with an invisible, suffocating threat. Kyung-hun tries to signal his team in Korea, but the line is dead. He stands by the road, jaw tight. As if summoned by fate, a black car screeches to a halt. Ever the gentleman, Kyung-hun opens the door for her. He steps aside to take a call from the lieutenant, but as the door swings wide, the trap is finally sprung. 3 killers emerge from the vehicle. Among them is the blonde-haired devil himself, the troublesome director Sejun. Sensing the killing intent, Kyung-hun screams for Yunha to run. He dives into the fray to hold back the tide. She sprints into the night, her lungs burning. Behind her, the sounds of bone-breaking violence echo through the empty streets. She cannot leave him to die. Hijacking a nearby bus, she roars back toward the battlefield like a vengeful goddess. Her sudden return catches everyone off guard. But before Kyung-hun can reach her, the enemy makes a lethal move. A blade is pressed firmly against her delicate throat. Yunha freezes, her mind racing to maintain a mask of cold calm. "I will survive this," she repeats like a holy mantra. Whether she believes it or not, the lie keeps her standing. She counts 5 captors as the scent of oil fills her lungs. They are in a factory, a perfect place for murder. As she calculates her escape, the doors swing open. A battered Kyung-hun is dragged in, thrown before her like a sacrifice. Kyung-hun is tossed aside like trash next to her. Amidst the chaos, Yoona listens, harvesting secrets about their lethal deal. Director Song-joon steps from the shadows, mocking her. But Yoona isn't broken, spitting venomous insults at his smug face. She continues to provoke the monster until Kyung-hun intervenes, desperate to stop her from digging her own grave. Recognizing the alpha, Song-joon sneers. Kyung-hun swallows his pride, begging the devil for Yoonha's freedom at any cost. Song-joon's laughter chills the air. He reminds them she's the assassin who supposedly gunned down their president. He demands to know why she still breathes when Kyung-hun claimed she was dead. Silence is Kyung-hun's only shield. While Kyung-hun secretly plots his counterstrike, Song-joon stays ahead. A sudden, brutal blow sends Kyung-hun into darkness. Before he can even react, he is unconscious. Song-joon invites the Chinese kingpin, Rigi, to witness this twisted show. A wall of language stands between them. Rigi speaks only English, while Song-joon understands the weight of Chinese words. Forced to use a translator, they negotiate blood money. Rigi's patience thins as he demands to see the cold cash. Song-joon promises the funds by dawn. Unimpressed, Rigi decides to take control, tired of these underworld games and delays. Aiming his gun at the useless Kyung-hun, Rigi prepares to fire. Suddenly, Yoonha screams out in desperate, perfect English. She lies through her teeth, claiming Kyung-hun was the traitor. She admits to the shooting just to keep them interested. Intrigued by her fire, Rigi agrees to a new deal. He will trade with her, but the price is high. She demands Kyung-hun's life be spared, but the predator shifts, suddenly aiming his lethal barrel directly at Yoonha's heart. Now it is Kyung-hun's turn to crawl, begging for her life. Before he finishes, the guards descend, brutalizing him. Rigi orders a lethal dose for Yoonha, a drug designed to make her crave death, a supposedly painless spiral into hell. Yoonha thrashes against her captors, but their grip is iron. They pin her down, a predator's trap closing around her. As Rigi departs, he tosses her the hairpin she once used against him, a haunting, twisted souvenir of their encounter. Trapped in the freezing depths of the factory, the night stretches on like an endless, suffocating nightmare for the pair. Yoona and Kyung-hun are dragged away as the villains talk shop. Rigi is not here to play, he is here for blood. Rigi lays down the law with cold eyes. He gives Song-joon exactly 2 hours to produce the mountain of cash. He throws a final, deadly curveball. No one leaves this hellhole until the deal is sealed in blood and ink. Song-joon tries to push back, but Rigi's steely gaze stops his heart. This isn't a negotiation, it is a sentence. Defeated by the Kingpin's aura, Song-joon signals his subordinate to bring the phone. The true underworld game has begun. Back in the dark, Kyung-hun desperately tries to pull Yoonha back from the edge of her drug-induced psychological nightmare. She writhes in agony, screaming for mercy. In her haze, she sees Kyung-hun as the monster, begging for life. Curled in a fetal position, she weeps for her parents. The once strong woman is now a broken child in darkness. Her vacant eyes shatter Kyung-hun's soul. He knows the poison is winning and he must anchor her spirit immediately. He pulls her into a crushing embrace, kissing her desperately. He whispers that this hell is just a shadow, but she is drowning in her own mind, fighting to hold on to the flickering embers of her sanity during the storm. The drug unearths every buried trauma, forcing her to relive her darkest moments as if they were happening all over again. Ghostly voices scream in her head, her fractured words chilling Kyung-hun to the bone. Her agony is becoming his own. With her life hanging by a thread, Kyung-hun begs her to stay. He is a man stripped of all options. Flashes of their past ignite in his mind. He finally realizes she isn't just a mission, she is his entire world. The thought of a world without her breaks him, and the warrior finally weeps. Seeing his tears, something within her snaps. Her gaze clears, the fog of the drug finally parting. She reaches out, her touch trembling as she whispers to him. They cling to one another in the dark, two broken souls anchoring each other against the tide of this nightmare. This dark chapter of their fate pauses here. If this obsessive romance gripped your heart, let us know below. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more intense manhwa recaps. Until our next descent, farewell.